Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for plugging in to our call tonight where we're going to talk about some concepts that we believe are really and truly life-changing. I've been doing this now for over 30 years, and I've talked to families all over the state, different parts of the country. And one of their main concerns is, listen, I work really hard for my money, but I just really don't, I've never sat down and talked with someone about how money works. I've heard them say, I've been working now for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 30 years, some even 40 years. And they say things are about the same as they were financially 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, as they are right now. I just want to know how I can change it. I want to know the basics of money. I want to know the ABCs of money. I want to know it as much as I can in layman terms. Well, tonight, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our time and go over a real basic, fundamental presentation. It's not going to be a long presentation. I think when we're finished tonight, you'll have more information, I do believe, than you might have had before coming in. And I want to encourage you to get with the person that invited you out tonight when the meeting is over and say, let's explore this a little bit further. Let's talk about all the concepts or the ones that really catch your interest. Meet with that person after the meeting tonight, this afternoon, and I think they will make a huge difference. If not in your life, and someone that you know, a son or a daughter, a brother or sister, a mother or father. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started and pull my presentation right on up here. And it's just what it says. It is the basics of investing. You see, most folks that we talk to, and as a team, as an office, as a company, they live in a place called a debt cycle. In a debt cycle, they're overspending their income, they're borrowing just to maintain a lifestyle. You heard people say, trying to live like the Joneses. They're paying off one debt just to get another. And I've talked to so many families, they really and truly want to do it, but they can't get out of this spinning cycle and never knowing when it's going to stop spinning or when it does stop, where they're going to be. But then there's another group, it's called a cash cycle. In that cash cycle, your finances don't control you, you control your finances. In this cash cycle, the objective is to be debt free. In this cycle, the objective is to pay as we go and pay cash and borrow as least as we can, as little as we need to. In this cash cycle, we have investments first. We have savings first. We have assets first before going out buying a lot of cars and this type of thing and a whole lot of additional debt. And of all the threats to our financial security, none of them is more dangerous than this, I call it an enemy called debt. Now the solution is to have a 3-account system. And step one is learn. Learn how to invest is number one. Pay yourself first. Set up a 3-account system, 3 fundamental accounts. Step 2 is accelerate. Accelerate the process of paying off all the debt and use a system that's been around for a long time. It's called debt stacking. And then step 3 is protect your income. Insure your income, at least until you're bulletproof. And you have a solid financial game plan, have money saved to include all the other major accounts. Now let's talk about those 3 fundamental accounts that we all need to have. One is an emergency fund. You see, none of us know when an emergency is going to come up. The heating and air goes out in the house, and that could cost $5,000, $6,000. The transmission goes out in the car, that could cost a whole lot of money. This is an account that you put at least 3 months of income aside. You're not trying to make this account grow. You want to make sure that account is there when you need it for emergencies and uncovered medical expenses and major car repairs. Then that second account is also a short-term account. You want to have at least 6 months of the income put aside. And this is something you intend to maybe use in 3 to 5 years, like a down payment on a house, then a down payment on a car. Not a down payment on a car and then a down payment on a house. You see, the objective is to start building wealth and to have an appreciating asset. And we don't want to put the cart before the horse, so to speak, and buying a car before buying a house. The third one is the wealth building account. The goal here, ladies and gentlemen, is retirement funds. You see, we're going to either live too long or die too soon. And if we die too soon, that's a travesty. We're going to talk about that. If we live too long and run out of money, we can't depend on our children, because in many cases, they also out there trying to make it work and make it happen. So we got to plan for a place that we're going to be in for the rest of our lives. That place is our future. We got to have tax sheltered accounts, Roth IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s. If we don't have any of those things, talk with someone that can set that up for you and set up a do-it-yourself pension, because you're going to get old one day unless you die young. So we got to plan for a place that we're going to be in for the rest of our lives. Now, step one in paying yourself first, it's important to have some base things in place. First of all, put half of the monthly amount you intend to allocate to establish an emergency fund. Put 25% of it for the short-term account we just talked about, that 3 to 5 year account, and put 25% in the wealth building account, because that's the one you're going to invest for a long period of time. So let's say now that you have $100 a month. Well, you got $150 altogether, but you're going to put $100 to get that emergency fund in place. Then you're going to put 25 of the $150 for the short-term account, and then 25 of the $150 for the wealth building long-term account, your 401k, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs. So that's $150 altogether. Now, when this account right here is funded, you want to take this whole amount of money and put it then in the wealth building account. Because again, that's the one you're going to be putting money back for the longest period of time. And when that retirement rolls around, you want to be able to do what you want to do and not have to go back to work if you don't want to. Now, so the question then becomes, what is a mutual fund? You got a whole lot of people that's got professionally managed money, and they are investing that money in the American economy, in this global economy, in consumer. You've heard of Procter & Gamble. You've heard of Crest and Downy and Tide and Gillette. Entertainment, we've all heard of Disney World. Pharmaceuticals, we've all heard of Advil and Lipitor and Pfizer. Telecommunications, we've all heard of Verizon. They advertise on television all the time. We've heard of McDonald's. I know our kids know about it. They know they can sing the song, 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onion, on a sesame seed bun. The kids can sing the song. We can sing the song. And then technology, Microsoft and Apple and Windows, and it goes on and on and on. Let's invest where we already spend money, and let's get a return on where we are already spending money. You see, the typical mutual fund can have as many as 150 companies on average in one mutual fund, where no more than 5% of your money is in any one company. So over time, you tend to do very well. The key 2 words is over time. Let's talk about that just for a few minutes. The wealth building concept. You have the growth years, and then you have the income years. During the growth years, you're trying to hit a target. You're trying to get right here. This is the bullseye right here. But once you've achieved that goal, being a little bit aggressive or growth oriented, you want to transition and maybe put those funds into income funds. You're not trying to shoot for the stars or shoot for the moon. You want to make sure that when you go to the mailbox, the money is there at that time. And many of you may want to consider annuities, depending on your financial situation. They're not for everybody, but there are many clients that have large sums of money sitting in banks and credit unions, large sums of money in old retirement accounts that they've not rolled over. And so it could be a combination of annuities and also income funds. Well, a growth fund invests primarily in common stock, primarily in well-established companies. They're looking for long-term. They're not trying to give an income. They're trying to appreciate. They're trying to grow what you're putting aside every month. Then the income fund invests in corporate or government or municipal debt securities. A debt security is an obligation which pays on a regular basis, pays interest on a regular basis. And this is someone that's looking to get a paycheck pretty much every month now. Then the balanced fund is a cross between the two. They want to grow and they want to have income. They invest in both equity and debt securities. And ladies and gentlemen, don't try to do it by yourself. You see, I'm not a mechanic. So you don't want me to work on your car, because if I work on your car, listen, it's not going to crank in the morning because I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a doctor. You don't want to come to me for a medical problem, because it ain't going to be good if you get Dr. Ricky. See, because that's not my academic discipline. My point is, talk with someone that's in that profession that can help you to achieve the goal, that can talk about your objectives, discuss your risk profile, your risk tolerance, and put you in a program based on your current objectives, when you want to retire, how you want to retire, what kind of income you want to have coming in when you retire, what kind of debt you want to have paid off when you retire. This is what they do. The next important point is systematic. Make it systematic and automatic. This is something called dollar cost averaging. And you end up paying less money over the long term, because what you're doing here is setting up a dollar amount, a monthly amount. You're going to put aside every single month regardless. You're not going to touch it. On the 15th of every month, on the 1st of every month, on the 28th of every month, they're going to take out that $25, that $50, that $500 a month regardless. Now we got two investors here, investor A and investor B. Investor A is investing in a rising market. He feels so good because it's going up and up and up and up and up, the way it's been for a few years now. But everything that goes up eventually has to come down, and it's important to understand that's not a bad thing. That's investor A. Investor B says, well, it's coming down now. It started here, went down, on the way back up again. But investor B said, and A, I'm not concerned about that much. I want to be consistent. I want to start a certain amount of money. I'm going to invest with my head and not the headlines. And I'm going to be consistent for a period of time. And let's see what happens. Investor A is putting in $100 per month. In month one, he paid $10 for that share. It's $10 per share. So he bought 10 that month. Month two, $12, and 3, 14, all the way up to month 6, $20 a share. And you see in month 6, he bought 5 shares because it was $20 per share. He ended up buying 42 shares altogether. Investor B, well, he invested in a market that was up and down, volatility. So in month 1, it was $10 a share, so he bought 10 shares. In month 2, $7, he bought 14.29. Fast forward to month 6. Back at $10 a share, he bought 10 shares. He ended up buying 126 shares. Ladies and gentlemen, the objective is to accumulate as many shares as we can, particularly when talking about mutual funds. So don't worry about the up and down when your objectives have been established. Your goal has been established. Run that play and don't worry about the bumps in the road along the way, because that's just the nature of investing. But stay consistent, and in the long run, you're going to be glad you did. Look at what happened here. A and B both put in $600 over a 6-month period of time. Investor A bought 42.28 shares, as I just mentioned. Investor B bought 125.95. Investor A ended up paying $14.19 per share as an average. Investor B paid $4.76. He has 126 shares now, worth $10 a share. Investor A has 42 shares, worth $20 a share. I'm going to take this one all day, every day, because I'm going to have a whole lot more, and then so would you. But it's important then to put the program on automatic pilot. How do we do it? A monthly bank draft. Out of sight, out of mind. Talk with the financial coach, the financial advisor. Tell them, here's what I have to work with. I want to have this coming out of my checking account on a certain time every month. I'm going to look at it once or twice every 2 or 3 years. And that financial coach can talk you off the cliff sometime when the market comes down and say, hey, listen, let's remember now, we talked about this a year ago or 2 years ago. Stay with it. Now, what stops a lot of clients from investing? This thing called debt. So step 2 then is to accelerate the process of paying off the debt. You got a client here that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bills. Retail card number 1 is $220 per month. Credit card number 2, $353. Car loan, $551. Credit card number 1, $303. Mortgage, $1293 per month. Well, at some point, that retail card on the top is going to be paid out. And that's going to be $220 freed up. We encourage them to take that $220 and don't go get another bill. Let's add that $220 to credit card number 2, which is $353 per month, and now send them $573. And now those 2 credit cards at the top are gone. They got $573 now freed up. Let's take that $573, add it to the car payment, which is $551 per month. They're going to send them now $1124 per month. And in a short period of time, the car is paid out. Now they have $1124 freed up. And I often say, when you free up $1,124 a month, temptation walks in your house like a grown human being and say, go get you a brand new this and a brand new that and a brand new the other. We are encouraging this couple right here in this example here, don't do it. Take that $1124, let's add that to the mortgage. You're going to send them $1427 plus that the $1293, $2720, the whole thing. That's the only bill that's left now. If they don't do it, they're going to be in debt for 23 more years. If they don't do it, they're going to pay $214,000 just in interest. But if they do it, they're going to be out of debt in 9 years. If they do it, they're going to only pay $83,000 in interest versus $214,000. Again, that's saving $130,000. And what's amazing, they're paying out the same $2720 per month. This is organized economic defense. It's running a zone on that money. It's not trying to play it man to man. I got him. No. It's running a zone on that money. So now let's say we take that $2720 then, when they're out of debt in 9 years, and act like that $2720 is still paying bills, paying debt. They do that until they are 6 or 7 years old, retirement. They got $2.4 million at retirement. If they did half of it, that's $1 million. Organized economic defense, running a zone on the money. Now, another and critical concept is protect the income. If all of a sudden you die, or the spouse dies, or if you're a single parent, you die and you're taking care of your kids or taking care of an older parent, it's going to be rough on whoever is left behind. There's only 2 ways to protect our income. They both involve insurance. Insurance, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this estate planning 101. Insurance is not a real particularly life insurance, not a real popular subject, because you got to entertain the possibility that somebody is going to die or could die. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. It's two ways of getting that done. One is called cash value. Look at what happened here. Here's a young couple here, and they got $100,000 on each one of them. They're paying $225 per month for $100,000 each. Why are they paying so much for so little coverage. Here's why. The agent told them when you get to 65 years old, you're going to have $76,880 in your cash value. What the agent did not tell them, however, if they die, the family is going to get $100,000. But the company will not pay them $100,000 and give the family the $76,000. But in their mind, I'm paying for two things, and in my mind, I should get both upon death. But see, it's called cash surrender value. A value surrender cash. Paying for two things, but only get one. But let's look at what the agents that sell it, what they do themselves. They can put that same $225 in the family budget. The difference is he has $250,000 on him. His wife has $250,000 on her for the same $225 a month. But the difference is in this, they're going to have $145 that they can invest. They're going to put that $145 in a Roth IRA. You see, the insurance is only costing them $80 a month. They got way more coverage, paying $80 a month, $145 less. And over a period of time, by the time they get to 65 years old, they got $265,000 in their retirement account. Now, I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence and ask you which one you would choose. It'll be wrong for me to ask you that tonight. I'm just not, because we see the math. Math is an exact science. A liar can figure, but a figure cannot lie. $265,000 saved. If they wanted to, at the end of that 30 years, when that term goes way up, it's going to go up in 30 years, they can take the money that they have from their savings, if they want to, and pay the insurance a little while longer. And if they die, if either party dies, the family gets the insurance and they get the savings, the investment, not one or the other. You see, it's something called the theory of decreasing responsibility. In the early years, we've got to have a lot of coverage. Why? It's our responsibility. We have a moral responsibility. The kids are young, the debts are high. There's a mortgage. If somebody dies right here, it's going to be devastation on whomever is left behind. Hey, this is just how life works. But as we get older, the need for life insurance is going to come down or go away because the kids are grown. The debts are lower, the mortgage is paid. Over here on this side, we've got to have some cash. We've got to have some, ladies and gentlemen, that we can enjoy while we're walking on top of the ground. We can go on retirement. We can go fishing. We can get season tickets. That takes a plan. That takes intentionality. We got to do this on purpose. So the question then is, to get where you want to be, we need to know where we are now. To get where we want to be, we need to know where we are right now. That's a roadmap. We call this a financial needs analysis. What does this thing do? It takes a snapshot of the current financial situation and it gives them some choices to make. It answers some really important questions, like what is my financial independence number? They call it a FIN, F-I-N number. What do I need to have put aside to retire with some degree of dignity? Now I'm going to veer from the presentation for just a minute and give you just an example of a financial needs analysis, and I'm going to come back to the presentation and we're going to close this out for the night. It's called a financial needs analysis, ladies and gentlemen. This is only just an example right here. Here's a case where we're going to call them John and Mary. We're going to stick with John and Mary. John is making $5,000 a month. He's a professional. She's making $5,000 a month. So is she. There's one thing that they did not communicate real well. So there was no understanding on what was coming in and what was going out. What was coming in was $10,000 per month. It doesn't matter whether it's $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $30,000 a month. The concept, the rule is still the same. But they're spending $10,375 per month. They're spending more than they're making. There's a shortfall. Now, we showed them this. We got to, first of all, put on paper where we are. Let's look at all the things that you own. Your retirement accounts, educational funds, emergency funds, non-retirement account, the value of your home. All that came to $272,000. Let's look at what you owe. $273,000, the mortgage and all the other debt, credit cards and so on and so forth. So what is your net worth now? In this example, a negative $807, negative. So when you look at a net worth, you want to look at all the things that you own minus all the things that you owe. If you sold everything that you own and took what you made from the sale and paid off everybody and everything that you owe, how much would be left? You see, to make progress over time, that net worth has to increase over time. And that's what we're teaching tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to just teach this in a real intense way. You know why? Because it's an intense situation. To get to retirement and not have anything is an intense situation. To die and leave our family struggling and strained and trying to get home is an intense situation. So sometimes it's hard to teach this concept without being intense. Here's a picture. A picture is worth 1,000 words. They had 11 obligations in this example here. Again, this is nobody in particular. This is just an example to show you the financial needs analysis. It came, as I just mentioned, $273,000. They're paying out $2,248.73 per month. They're going to be in debt until 2053, and they're going to pay over $200,000 in interest alone. They only owe $273,000. They're going to pay $200,000 just in interest. So what we do is show our clients how to accelerate the process, how to strategically, surgically, systematically cut away that debt over time. Then there's something called a budget. A budget has gotten to be a bad word for a lot of people. But a budget makes us look at where we are, and it makes us painfully aware of where we're not. On this side, we see the current side, and we see the future side. I want to highlight one thing here. I want to highlight eating out. Spending $1,000 a month eating out. Somebody said, there's no way I'm going to spend $1,000 a month eating out. Well, just think about this. $5 for a cup of Starbucks. I mean, it's not a real fancy cup. It's just a basic cup. $5, okay? That's $5. $10 for a quick, let's call it buffet. Then $15 for a nice, beautiful California salad. That's $30 in a day. That's $900 in a month, just like that. That's just one person. So it's called unconscious spending. We asked them to cut this down to $200 a month. And by cutting that down, by making these cuts, we brought them out of the red into the black. So rather than spending $375 more, they got $1,458 left over. Now, I'm going to bring this thing to a close here because we can't tell it all in one night. But what I'm sharing tonight in this short 30 to 35 minutes is very, very critical information. I want to encourage you, everyone, to set up your program. Get with your Primerica agent, Primerica representative, whoever invited you out tonight, and take the next step. Implement. See, information without implementation leads to more and more frustration. Implement. And the point is, let's pay ourselves first. Let's establish an emergency fund. Let's set up a short-term account. Let's start looking down the road, because down the road is coming. Just like this year is getting out of here seemingly so fast, it's going at the same speed, but the time just doesn't stop. Let's eliminate the debt. Let's pay off the debt. Let's start a debt stacking program, ladies and gentlemen. If you need help, call the person that invited you out tonight. Call me, whoever you want to call, and we'll work with you on that. And number 3, which should have been number 1, ensure your income. Protect the most valuable asset you have. That's the income. So if you die, you don't leave your family in a bad place. Those that I invited out tonight, you have my contact information already, but there it is again. If somebody else invited you out tonight, like Bessie Cooper Harris or whomever invited you out tonight, please get with her or them and let them sit down with you one-on-one and talk about how you can turn this whole situation around. And ladies and gentlemen, it can be turned around. This is not rocket science. This is not an impossible dream. This simply takes a game plan. And with a game plan and taking massive action, we can turn the situation around. And sometimes it doesn't matter how it looks, but we got to make some major adjustments to turn it around. Hey, thank you so much for your time tonight. We appreciate it. We're going to have another meeting just like this probably on the 15th of next month. We hope you can log in again. Have a great rest of the night. And thank you all for plugging in. Good night, everybody.